What is up, people? Matt here again. I haven't done an anime video in quite some time. In fact, I've only done one anime video before this and it was a rant. So I figured, you know, let's do another anime video, but this time a more positive one. So I've been watching Bleach. I finished watching the anime and I've been reading up about the manga, so obviously I know a fair bit about Bleach. Not a lot. I'm not some Bleach fandom. I don't know everything there is to know about Bleach, but I do know a fair bit. So I thought, I know, let's do a top 10 squad captains. Now, this is my list. So if one of your favourite captains isn't on here, I'm sorry. Maybe I just don't like them as much as you do, or, you know, I can't. Everyone prefers different people. So what constitutes the list? Well, first of all, they don't have to be a current captain. They can be a former captain. Now when I say squad, I mean any kind of captain rank person in the Soul Society. Even if they have captain like powers, they're not on this list because they're not captain. Like Ichigo is as strong as a captain, Ikaku is as strong as a captain, but because they're not captains, I'm not putting them on the list. So, let's get on with the list. At number 10 is Gin Ichimaru, who basically was the former Squad 3 captain. Now, Gin, when you first meet him, comes across as an extremely sinister person. He's very sneaky, he's a bit like a worm. You get the feeling that he's actually the bad guy and Sasuke Aizen's actually the good guy. However, if you've watched all the way through, you'll know that's not necessarily the case. In fact, Gin isn't actually a bad guy at all, really. He was just putting that on so he could get close to Aizen. He's one of the characters I genuinely felt sorry for and didn't want to die, although he kind of redeemed himself in the end. He didn't get it for very long because unfortunately he did get killed by Aizen in the end. But yeah, I like you know, Gin was one of those. He's only 10, but I liked him as a captain, especially later on down the line when you really find out what he's like. Especially his backstory with Rangiku is very interesting as well. How he was just a little boy. Obviously, Rangiku was just a little girl, and they knew each other back then, and then they kind of distanced themselves, and you know, it's very interesting when you get into it. So now this next one's going to irritate some people. My number 9 spot goes to 2 people. I'm going to be a bit cheeky on this list, and some places actually have 2 people instead of only 1. So at number 9 is Ginrei Kuchiki and Byakuya Kuchiki. So Ginrei is obviously Byakuya's grandfather. He was the previous former captain of Squad 6. He was also the 27th head of the Kuchiki clan, which is one of the 4 noble clans. Not much is known about him really, besides he's the grandfather of Byakuya. Although he hasn't died. He's very old, but he hasn't died. He just left for some reason. I don't quite know why, but he just left. And Byakuya obviously took over as the 28th head of the Kuchiki clan, as well as Squad 6, and he is the current head of the Kuchiki clan. I know there's a lot of Byakuya fans out there, but for my list he's only at number 9 just because he doesn't show a whole lot of emotion. There are funny scenes with him because of how serious he is. When there's a generally remotely funny moment, it generally becomes even funnier just because of how serious he is, especially the Bleach episode 228, I believe it is, when they all go to the beach. Yes, it's a filler episode, but it's funny as hell, and Ruki is like, oh, I invited
to bring me here for some fun in the sun.
It's just like, what? That is something Byakuya would never say, but it's just so funny. So yeah, the Kuchiki captains, let's say, are number 9. So number 8 is a bit of a odd one. So number 8 is Tessai Tsuchika Kabashi. I've probably absolutely destroyed that last name, but there you go. His last name doesn't get said a lot at all, I don't think. And you're thinking, oh, Tessai is not a captain of the squad. Well, he is. He's the captain of the Kido Corps, which is kind of a specialised squad, I suppose you'd call it. Tessai is a bit of a weird one because when Bleach first starts, you have no clue about who Tessai is whatsoever. As far as you're concerned, he's just a normal shop assistant for Kisuke. And then he becomes this almighty captain of the Kido Corps, was like just, oh my god, his Kido abilities are like one of the best in the Soul Society. You had no idea that was going to happen. He's just such a calm-mannered person, but at the same time he has an angry side. But yeah, I mean, Tessai is an amazing person. I don't think anyone can argue that. So at number 7, now this is a guy that you either know or you don't know, as well as you either like him or you just don't care. So number 7 is Shusuke Amagai. So he was the former 3rd squad captain who took over after Gin left, but he came in, he was only in the anime and it was kind of a filler arc, so people probably might not know him very well, but I really liked his character. He came across as a very cool person, a laid back person, but also a very friendly person, so I was very shocked to find out he actually was the like big bad of the arc, which was very unfortunate. Even when he finally lost and found out the truth, he even committed senpai, which I thought was very strange. He should have just redeemed himself by becoming a captain and, you know, being good, but I really liked the way he was. So at number 6, we're going to get into the top soon. So at number 6 is Ginryusai Shinji Kuni Yamamoto. So head captain Yama, basically. He's only number 6, although he is allegedly the strongest, one of the strongest Soul Reapers. Obviously he was the head captain of the Soul Society for over 1,000 years. You know, you don't get that reputation from nothing. Now, big spoiler alert before I go into more detail about him, so if you don't want anything ruined about this, then I suggest you kind of skip ahead a bit. So I'll give you a second to skip. Okay, so head Yama is the former head captain of Squad 1. Unfortunately, he's killed in the final arc, and someone else takes over. For those of you, some of you will know, some of you won't know. But yeah, unfortunately, head Captain Yama killed. But he was amazing. I really liked him as a character, although you really don't get to know a lot about him personally. You admire the fact that he's basically been the head captain of the Soul Society for over a millennia. You don't get like that just by accident. So head Captain Yama, respect to you, old man. So at number 5 is Isshin Kurosaki. So obviously Isshin, spoiler alert, is, well, not a spoiler alert, but is Ichigo, Karin and Uzu's dad. His wife is Misaki or Miyaki or whatever, I can't remember. So yeah, Isshin was former head, no he wasn't, he was former captain of Squad 10. His lieutenant was obviously Rongiku Matsumoto, and his 3rd seat was actually current captain of Squad 10, Hitsugaya, with Toshiro Hitsugaya. So Isshin isn't, you don't know that he's a captain until a fair way in, but he's a badass. He's just a badass, really. Although his story's very strange, and most of this story doesn't get revealed till quite later on, but let's just say that a lot's happened with him. But Isshin's such a funny guy. You know, the fact that he was actually a serious captain of the Soul Society, but he's still Ichigo's dad, is just like mind blowing, because he's such a unserious person at times. But you know, Ishin is such a funny guy in the series, as I keep saying, because he is funny, and that's why he makes it to the number 5 spot. So number 4 is Retsu Unohana. So Captain Unohana is obviously the captain of Squad 4. She is one of the senior captains of the Soul Society. She's been a captain for over 100 years, but she's one of the elder captains, sort of. She's very seniority in the Soul Society. Although she in the exterior she's a lovely woman, she has some secrets about her. I won't spoil them in case people are kind of catching up with the manga, but she has some secrets. Let's just say she has a past with Kenpachi. But I'll talk about that, you know, in a minute. Well, I won't talk about it in a minute, but I'll talk about that in another video maybe. So at number 3 is Kisuke Urahara and Yoroichi Shihoin. So Kisuke Urahara, obviously humble shopkeep now, but previously he was actually captain of Squad 12 and founder of the research and development, you know, research and development kind of, whatever you call it, squad, or you know, I can't think of the word at the moment, but yeah, he was kind of the founder of the research and development unit, I suppose you could say. Funny guy, although he was quite serious back then. Kisuke is one of my favourite characters, but definitely not my favourite. He's a funny guy, but you know, he definitely has some secrets about him that aren't revealed. But he's just an amazing guy. So obviously the other part of this, number 3, was Yoroichi Shihoin. Another head of one of the noble clans, the Shihoin clan. She was the former captain of Squad 2, the stealth force. What to say about Yoroichi? Well, the obvious thing, she turns into a cat. A cat. She's the only person in Bleach that can turn into an animal. Why can she turn into an animal? Nobody knows. It's probably something to do with her. It's probably something to do with the Shihoin clan, but other than that, I don't know, because cats. That's why, because cat. So Yoroichi's quite a strange woman, although she's a very fun-loving woman. She doesn't take much seriously, but she's, you know, don't mess with her because she probably would kill you. So obviously she was the former captain of 2nd Squad Stealth Force. Soifone, her bodyguard, took over, although she's still around in the Soul Society, even though she was hiding for 100 years, because she just upped and left, and that's probably not, you know, they probably don't appreciate that very much. But yeah, Yoroichi and Kisuke, I couldn't put either of them above each other because they're so connected. So number 2 goes to Kenpachi Zaraki, current captain of the 11th Squad, the combat squad, or whatever you call it, combat force. Some people will be crying sacrilege at this point, saying, how can you only put Kenpachi at 2nd? Kenpachi is the uber captain. He should be number 1 on every list. Now hear me out. Yes, Kenpachi is an amazing captain, and at one point he probably was my favourite captain. But Kenpachi's just a demon, basically. He just lives for the battle. He just wants to kill people and fight, and that's it. But he has a sensitive side, as Yuichiro obviously shows. He's the adopted, let's just say he's the adoptive father of Yuichiro. Come on. He obviously loves her as a daughter or a companion or a friend. You know, she's always on his back and he's always there with her. You don't have Kenpachi without Yuichiro. It just doesn't happen, okay? So obviously he has that sensitive side, but he's obviously some demon beast that just wants to kill people and fight, and he enjoys the fight. If he gets hurt, he enjoys being hurt. He likes being slashed. He likes having to use his full power. He's just a beast. That's why he's got the Kenpachi name, but he's only the 11th Kenpachi. There were 10 people before him who held the name. But Kenpachi's just a beast, let's be honest. He's like, I don't think he will ever be killed off, or if he does, everyone will just be like, Kenpachi died, and that'd be it. But Kenpachi is my second favourite captain. So, at number 1 is actually a joint place. So, number 1 is shared between Shunsui Kyoraku and Jushiro Ukitake. So, Shunsui is captain of 8th Squad. Obviously another senior, elder member of the captains. Spoiler alert here again, he eventually takes over as head captain for Squad 1 because Gin Ryusai dies. So yeah, Shunsui becomes head captain. He's a pretty cool guy. He's got his 2 swords. His attacks are basically one big game. It's kind of funny. He's definitely a strong captain, and if you underestimate him, you're going to die. As Coyote Stark, the first Espada, found out. So Shunsui is a badass, and he's a laid back guy though. He doesn't want to work. He just sits there and puts his hat over his face and goes to sleep and drinks. He's a drunk. He doesn't work that well, but when he's sober, he's a proper serious guy. So who shares the spot with Shunsui? Who else than his best friend, obviously Jushiro Ukitake, captain of 13 Squad. Also another one of the elder senior captains. So what can I say about Jushiro? He's a very peaceful guy, you know. He's not like all that into fighting. He's just one of those guys that you just think, yeah, he's an alright guy, you know. He has a sickness that I don't particularly know what it is. Some people say it's tuberculosis because he coughs up blood a lot. So he's not much of a fighter. His illness obviously prevents him from fighting a lot. However, he does fight, and when he fights, he fights. His Zanpakuto's ability, he's got 2. It absorbs the enemy's attack and shoots it back at them, and he can choose how fast and how strong it shoots back at them. So he's definitely not a captain to be underestimated. In fact, people say if he didn't have his illness, he would easily be on par with Shunsui. And apparently, if Shunsui and Jushiro teamed up, they would easily have been able to take out Gen Ryusai or head captain Yama. Apparently. Although that you can never test that theory because it never happens and it never can happen, but apparently they would be able to fight Yama and beat him. But there you go. So yeah, my number 1 spot goes to Shunsui Kyoraku and Jushiro Ukitake. Now there are some fan favourites that didn't even make the list. Obviously, Toshiro Hitsugai didn't make the list. Some people will obviously like people like Komamura or Mayuri, but I just didn't really find them. Obviously, then there's Sosuke Aizen, he's not on the list either. Soifone not on the list, but I think all the captains are cool. I just, you know, have my own favourites in the series, obviously, and everyone else has their own favourites, and that's okay. So yeah, this was my top 10 Bleach squad captains. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll definitely see you on the next video. Bye now.